Hey everyone, my name's Kendall and I'm a trumpet player in the Campbell Marching Band. This year I will be your brass captain and I'm super excited to welcome you guys to Campbell University and to band camp for the 2020 season. Now I hear that you guys are on campus and you are stuck in a quarantine for 24 hours. And maybe you're bored and you don't have anything to do. Maybe you don't, I don't know. But if you are bored and looking for something to do, I have made this stretching video to give you guys a little preview of the stretching we do during band camp and throughout the season at our rehearsals. As you guys know, it is important to keep on stretching, whether you're doing anything related to motion, but definitely during marching band, we do put a lot of stress on our bodies carrying heavy instruments and moving around the field, so it is important to go ahead and stretch out. I would definitely recommend that you stretch warm muscles and not cold ones. So I've just taken a walk around my neighborhood before filming this video. To be honest, I feel kind of warm right now because it's like 95 degrees and humid, so I'm feeling good. So without further ado, I will get started. The first thing I want to show you is something I learned from the color guard captain my first year at Campbell, which I now nicknamed the Around the World stretch because we're going to kind of go in a big circle. So to start, spread your feet a little more than shoulder width apart. And I like to start on the left because in marching band, left is right and right is wrong. So we're going to go left first. Put your right arm above your head and we're just going to arch to our left. What this does is it's going to elongate your side right here. You should feel that nice stretch on your right side. Try not to lean on this hand too much. This is usually how we start our rehearsals. Just as a disclaimer, I'm probably not the most flexible person in the world, so if you're watching this and you're like, that's me, don't worry, this video is going to be plenty relatable for you guys. I'm good at being relatable. I'm pretty real. Okay, next thing we're going to do is go to a flat back position. I'm really bad at getting my back flat. What you're going to do is just take your right hand and reach as far as you can and put your left hand behind you and look out to your left. You should be trying to get your back flat and stretching out your back while doing this. Hopefully this isn't like hurting you. If it is, just try to push a little bit less. Don't do anything that makes you physically uncomfortable. But if it is just a little bit, like it's not hurting you, it's a little uncomfortable, that's probably a good thing. You can build your flexibility really well by stretching every day. Alright, next thing is we're just going to go down and touch our left foot. I can't really reach more than like my ankle, but that's okay. I'm a little bit rusty on the flexibility. Alright, so now we're at the bottom of the circle. We're going to just reach down in the middle and try to put your hands on the ground. I find it easiest to make my hands pointing backwards, but you can really do this any way you want. Some of you might be able to put your whole palm on the ground. I've seen people get their elbows to the ground. That's pretty impressive. I can't do that. You should feel the stretch all through your legs, but especially on the insides of your thighs. Alright, continuing around the world, we're going to reach to our right foot. If you guys can, I definitely recommend trying these stretches outside, where it is a little bit warmer. We're obviously going to be outside stretching as we are a marching band, but if you are stuck in your room, that's totally fine. This will definitely still feel good. Moving on, we're going to do the flat back on our right side. So reach with your left hand and look to your right. Alright, and last thing in the around the world is we're going to arch over to our right, putting our left hand in the sky and our right hand along our leg. Try not to lean too far forward when you do this. It's really best to kind of keep that back straight and elongate your side as much as possible. All right, so that was the around the world stretch, just to get us started. So the next set of stretches that I want to do are going to be related to your back. I do hear a lot of people complaining about back problems with marching band, as sometimes our instruments can weigh on us and give us some issues. But the best thing to do is just to stretch out that back and try to keep a perfect posture. So the first thing I want to do, if you're a horn player, I'm sure you know all about this, is we're going to stretch out our laterals. So what I mean is just kind of twist from side to side while keeping your hips forward, and just kind of pulse and work out those back muscles and twisting your torso. The purpose of this stretch is a little obvious, but as wind players and sometimes as percussion players as well, we are going to have to do what we call laterals, where we're marching in one direction and keeping our upper body facing the front sideline. So if you're not super flexible, this can be a little bit difficult, but I promise over time you're going to get the hang of it. Even I got the hang of it. Don't be afraid to overextend a little bit with this stretch. You can go beyond 90 degrees. That's not really typical in a show setting, but for these purposes, stretching out your back, sometimes you do get some nice cracks in your spine like I am. Alright, so that's the lateral stretch. The next stretch I'm going to do is I'm going to be sitting down on the ground. So when you sit down, take one of your legs, I'm going to take my right leg, and cross it over your left. Put your left arm on your right knee, put your right hand behind you, and twist your back. I'm twisting my shoulders so that they're at a 90-degree angle. Some people can go farther. If you can, that's awesome. I'm not that flexible. This is another stretch that kind of helps out with our back flexibility and laterals. If you guys haven't actually heard, I believe the correct ratio for laterals is to turn your hip area about 30 degrees, turn your ab area 60 degrees, and then try to turn your shoulders to the full 90 degrees. That's what I've been taught, and it just kind of helps me visualize doing the laterals. Okay, I'm going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. So put your left leg over your right arm on your left knee, and twist to the back. The next back stretch I'm going to show you is probably one of my favorite stretches in the whole wide world. I don't really have a name for it except for laying down back stretch. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay flat on your back, and I'll try to show you what I mean before I do it. You're going to take one leg. I'm going to start with my left so I'm facing you. You're going to take your leg and put it over your right. So you're going to completely twist your hips. So that way you're laying on the ground, and you're going to have your arms completely open so your shoulders are flat to the floor. You should feel a pretty big stretch in your back as your shoulders and your hips are kind of twisting. Try to keep that back shoulder on the ground because you're going to feel the stretch a lot more. You're also going to feel it in your top leg. But I feel like my natural position is like laying down and sleeping, so this is a really nice stretch in my opinion. Alright, let's switch. Pick your right leg and put it over your left, and keep that right shoulder flat on the ground. Alright, so that was the laying down back stretch. The last back stretch I have for you guys is not really a stretch, but it is a yoga pose. So that is called child's pose. All you do for child's pose is get on your knees and sit all the way back on your heels and reach your arms out as far as you can go. This stretch is meant to be kind of relaxing, so anytime you feel stressed stretched out, or maybe if you feel kind of lightheaded on the field, it is a good idea to get your head down below like your knees, or to go ahead and go down and do child's pose. You can also modify this pose to stretch out the laterals in your back a little more. So you can walk your hands over to the right and the left. You should feel this stretch in your opposite side of where you're reaching. So that kind of stretches out like your sides and your back. Alright, so that was back stretches. You can use any of these stretches if you are feeling tight in your back, and I'm sure there are plenty more that you can use. The next stretch that I want to show you guys, I'm really not sure what it's called, but it's another one that I've learned from the color guard my past 2 years, and I'm going to go ahead and call it the expert stretch, because you do have to be kind of flexible to do this one fully. So it's going to stretch out your back and your legs. What you're going to do is put one leg forward, so I'm going to go with my right leg and break my own rule. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay this leg flat on the ground. And then your goal is to try to get your elbows on the ground in front of your leg. Now, if this is hurting you, don't go all the way down to your elbows. But if you can, you're going to feel this stretch kind of in the outside of your right leg. Some people can go farther than me. So if you've ever seen like Peyton or Caroline do this, you've seen like a miracle. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and switch. Alright. So with that, we're going to move into stretching our legs. Your legs are definitely one of the most important parts of your body in marching band, as I do carry you around the field. So it's a good idea to make sure your legs are stretched out before you do anything marching band related. So the first one I'm going to do, just sitting on the floor, is one that you've probably done before, and it's called the butterfly stretch. So all you're going to do is put the soles of your feet together, and you can either hold your feet, or I've seen people use their elbows to push their knees down. But your goal here is to get your knees as close to the ground as possible, and for a better stretch you can actually pull your feet in closer. You're going to feel this stretch in your groin, which is in the inside of your thigh, and try to be careful with this one not to take it too far. I remember when I was a kid I did gymnastics, which is funny because I'm not flexible, but we used to do this game where like we would do this stretch and we would sit in a circle and like butterfly fly away, and we would all say like where our favorite place was and where we would fly to if we were a butterfly. It's kind of cute. I kind of want to bring it back. I think I would fly to, I don't know, maybe Italy. I went to Italy last summer and it was cool. Very cool. Alright. So, going along with our groin muscles and our hips, I'm going to show you one that I learned from my days as a soccer player, which are dated now. But that was a good stretch that I learned, called open and close the gate. This is just one to kind of rotate your hip flexors. So open the gate, all you have to do is raise up one of your legs and just act like you're opening a gate. So you're going to rotate your hip 90 degrees outward, just like you're opening a gate. And this is what we call a dynamic stretch. So I like to kind of shuffle or take a few steps in between and alternate my legs. Again, this one is really good if you are feeling tight in your hips. It's kind of an abnormal thing for marching band since we do keep our bodies kind of aligned, but if you are maybe like in the color guard having a hip issue, this is a good one to try. Okay, so now that we've opened the gate, we have to close it back. So close the gate, you're just going to start on the outside and rotate your hip inward. So So we'll just keep doing that 90-degree rotation. Try to pick up your leg like you're stepping over something, like a hurdle. Because if you just do like this thing that doesn't really work your hip flexor. Oh my gosh, I'm actually sweating. Alright, so that was open and close the gate. So next I'm going to move on to stretching out the rest of our leg. So the first thing I'm going to do is a calf stretch. You guys have all probably done a calf stretch before. All you have to do for this one is pick up your toes, keep your heel on the ground, and reach down for your toe. You can also bend this back leg to help you reach your toe. I really can't reach my toes, not gonna lie. I say it's because I'm tall, but it's really because I'm not flexible. But I mean, I have long legs and like short arms, so I find it difficult. But most of you should be able to touch your toe. Yeah, I got it this time. You may also see this done in partners. A lot of time during camp, we will have two people and we'll put our feet against each other, and that way we can kind of use each other's weight to stretch our calf muscles. If you want, you can also reach with your opposite hand and it'll stretch your side. Alright, so now that we stretch our calves, we can stretch our quads. Your quads are your front muscles on your thigh. They pull your thigh away. So what we're going to do is try to keep our balance, but we're just going to pick up one leg and stretch it behind us. Try to pull it in kind of close to your butt. As far as balancing, some of the best strategies I've done are just holding my other hand on my stomach. That way I don't fall over. I have a better center of gravity. I've seen people like put their hand on their head, seen people do like this number. Most of my friends in my section last year did like this number, trying to grab someone's shoulder. All of the above. Anything works. Yeah, if you guys see me doing this in camp and I'm like falling over, just don't say anything. I did it perfectly in this video, almost, so. Alright, so that was our quads. Okay, the last leg stretch I want to show you guys is another one that I learned from soccer, and it is called Bear in the Woods. I think you guys know what bears do in the woods, but it is one where we're kind of going to squat and stretch that groin muscle again and also our hamstring. So what you're going to do for this one is take your ankle and put it on top of your other knee and squat so that you're stretching the outside of this thigh. Now this one is also kind of hard to balance, so it might take some practice. But since I'm kind of squatting and making a 4 with my legs, I guess that's where the Bear in the Woods name came from. I didn't make that up, but I wish I had. I should probably take credit for that. If you are struggling to balance with this stretch, another thing you can do instead of squatting is pull your ankle closer to you. In my opinion, this doesn't feel as good for me, but if that worked for you, you definitely can. Ooh. I'm falling over. So we're done with our legs. The next area we're going to stretch is our arms. Most of us use our arms to hold up an instrument or play a drum or spin a flag or rifle. So first thing we're going to do is just take our right arm and stretch it across. The way we do it at Campbell is we put our palm up, so that way it kind of gives a better stretch throughout the rest of our arm. If you do it with your arm down, it does still stretch out your shoulder, but it feels better if you put your arm up. Alright, now I'll switch. next arm stretch we're going to do is putting our arms behind our head. So pick up your right arm and put it behind your head and grab your elbow with your other hand. I can show you from the back. This is another pretty basic one. Try not to collapse yourself too much when you're doing this. Try to remember your marching band posture and try to stand tall. Right, switch. I've also seen people like do this number where they can like reach their hand. I can't do that because I'm not flexible, as I've said for like 10 times, but if you do like that stretch better, go for it. Alright, so shake out your arms a little bit. Another part of our arm that a lot of us don't realize is so important is our shoulders. Our shoulders are really important as far as bearing some of the weight of our instruments. I know for horn bell front instruments, you're supposed to carry a lot of that weight kind of in your abs, but it is important to have a stable arm like all the way up to your shoulder and have unbroken wrists. So to stretch out those shoulders, I'm just going to do some big arm circles going backwards and then forwards. I don't really have another stretch for shoulders other than just like rotating your shoulders, but if you guys think of one, let me know. But yeah, the biggest thing about shoulders is when you are marching and you're playing that instrument, try not to like do this thing where you're scrunching them up. Sometimes it can feel better to do that, but I promise you it's detrimental to what you're trying to do. It'll take a lot more energy out of you to hunch your shoulders, and it'll also make your posture look really bad, so it's kind of a double negative. Alright, rounding out the arms, we often don't realize how important our wrists are unless you're a flute player. I know flute players sometimes have issues with their wrists. So one of the things that I've learned over the years to help me with wrist pain during band camp is to make two little OK symbols with my hands, put them together, and just rotate them, keeping my wrists as close together as possible. This kind of just rolls out my wrists and helps them feel a little better during camp when I've been holding the horn for several hours. I say as my horn weighs like 3 pounds. Please don't judge me. I know all the like baritone players out there are like hating on me right now. I'm sorry. It's really not that heavy. It's not that heavy. I try to tell myself that every day. Alright. And then the last thing we're going to roll out is our neck. So your neck position is also very important because your air is going to travel through your neck, obviously, when you play your instrument and when you breathe. So all I usually do is just roll out my neck, and you might not be able to hear it on the video, but my neck just like cracked a million times. This is one that doesn't look super weird, so you can do it like in class or like at lunch or whenever you feel like it. I always feel better after I roll my neck a little bit. You can also roll like other parts of your body. I know in the past we've rolled our shoulders forward and back, and we've also done this thing where we roll like our whole torso around our hips. That can also feel good if you're feeling any kind of tightness in your torso or in your back. But otherwise, I think that was all the stretches I had for you guys. So if you guys think of any more stretches that you want to do on your own, or ones that you think could be beneficial for the band, definitely let me know. I am by no means the expert on stretching, but I hope this video helped you guys, at least with your boredom in quarantine, and I can't wait to see you during band camp. So have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you soon.